What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Featherhead Crypto. I am Featherhead. Today we'll be interviewing Stephen Arnold, the CEO and creative director of Fracture Labs. Fracture Labs is the team behind the highly anticipated video game known as Decimated. And we'll be interviewing Stephen today from Malta. He is at a eSports conference, and hopefully we'll learn more about that. Personally, I'm quite excited about Decimated, and I'm looking forward to learning more about this video game. I'm sure you are as well. But before we get into the interview, I have to say that I am not a financial advisor, and nothing I say on my channels, my social medias, or in my articles is financial advice, nor should it be considered as such. So let's get right into this, and let's get decimated. All right, what's up, everybody? We're here with Stephen Arnold, the CEO and creative director of Fracture Labs. How you doing, Stephen?
I'm doing great. Nice to meet you. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak on the channel.
No problem. Glad to have you on. So, from my understanding, you're at Malta currently right now?
Yeah, so there's a conference right now, the Delta conference, and they have a small gaming section for esports and video games. So yeah, we're a video game company that are kind of touching with blockchain, tokenizing items, and with a cryptocurrency in our game as well. So yeah.
Are you there as kind of just to mingle with other people, or do you have a booth at the event?
We do have a booth. We've switched off the video right now on the booth because there's nobody around. It was a bit busier earlier in the day, and now it's quite quiet. They had all the schools were here, so there was like armies of children that were swarmed around the booth, like asking questions about the game. But they all left around lunchtime. So yeah, I've been wandering around just networking, speaking with exchanges, and trying to avoid lawyers. There's a lot of lawyers here, you know.
Yeah. So you mentioned children at the event. I'm trying to have more of an understanding about Malta. We spoke before. I've been invited out there a few times. I just haven't had the chance to go. What's daily life like in Malta? Do you live in that area? From my
Yeah. So I mean, it's a nice little island in the Mediterranean. It's nice weather most of the year, and it has coral rock beaches everywhere. It's kind of like a small rock island. There's a huge tourism sector here and a huge iGaming sector here as well. And now they're really trying to build the blockchain, esports, tech, and AI sectors. So yeah, that's why we're here. We're kind of helping with building the economy here. My experience is in video game production, so I'm predominantly working on the video game side. But yeah, I mean, we're networking. It's easy to network here because it's such a small place, you know. So at this conference, you end up bumping into a lot of people that you've met several times before. They have conferences quite regularly, especially around this time of the year, around October, November. Blockchain summits, video game summits, that kind of thing. So yeah.
I think you're definitely in the right sector, anyways. I heard something the other day in the news that they're building a massive arena in Texas here in the United States, specifically for gaming, and it's going to be 24/7. I forget which event recently happened. There was I forget which country it was in, but they had so many millions of people participating online and whatnot. So I guess the business is expanding dramatically.
Yeah, and that's like I say, right now, if I show you around the conference area, you have all these booths of people that are preparing for the esports events that are going to be on this weekend. So they're all warming up. They're playing Fortnite here. They're playing FIFA. Yeah, they're just all getting ready for the end. And I think that this weekend there's going to be thousands of people here, all teenagers, playing video games. So I think that I'll probably come back tomorrow and the next day, really just to show the video on the stand, hand out some flyers, let people know about the project. And yeah, I think that the esports sector is definitely huge. It's definitely growing. Competitive gaming, I think, is going to be the future. Right now, if you go out to a bar in any part of the world, you're probably going to see a cricket match or a football match on the TV, right? But I think in the future, you'll probably see people playing video games as well. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, that makes me want to go play my Xbox now. I'm jealous I'm not there. They look pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's quite quiet now. It was really busy in the morning. It's a bit quiet now because it's like it's 4 p.m. now, so it dies down a little bit.
So you've got quite a few interviews on the internet that I've seen. So if you don't want to, we don't have to go into it so much about yourself. Unless you want to speak about it, that'd be great. I'd be great to hear it. But I think you said you have like 11 years experience with Fracture Labs. Could you tell us more about Fracture Labs and possibly some of the games that you've worked on in the past?
Sure. Well, Fracture Labs is actually only a year and a half old. Okay. I set this company up in Malta, and we have another department in Estonia, which is really just for cryptocurrency licensing. I've been working in the games industry myself for 11 or 12 years now. I started in 2008. I've worked on God of War, Paladins, Evolve with 2K Games, The Division with Ubisoft. My involvement in those projects has been organizing creative partnerships, art, animation, cinematics. So I've been working with teams of people that have got a lot of experience with doing that kind of work. Fracture Labs is my own company that I set up last year, specifically to do this project called Decimated, and to create a game where gamers can essentially earn cryptocurrency by playing the game, and we have tokenized assets that will have real world value. So rather than just having a game like Fortnite where the company create endless supplies of weapons, endless supplies of ammo, endless supplies of every single item in the game, we have digital scarcity. So we're using a hard fork of Ethereum to create non-fungible tokens, and those are, so the gamers can buy those, and then they essentially own them. They can own them inside the game, or they can own them on they can store them on their smartphone wallet. So to accompany the game that we're developing, which is being developed in Unreal Engine 4, it's going to be an open world survival game with hundreds of people per server, all competing with each other for resources and territory. Players will be able to choose whether they want to be a human citizen or a cyborg cop, so they can choose to be the underdog, or they can choose to be the authoritative figure in the map. So it's going to be kind of like a self-policing ecosystem in this kind of sci-fi Wild West scenario. And we're also developing a smartphone wallet to accompany the game as well. So even while gamers are not playing the game on their PC or Xbox or PlayStation, eventually we'll get to the console. They'll still be able to trade, buy tokens and trade their virtual items on their smartphone while they're at work or while they're doing other things, maybe if they're waiting on the train or the bus or whatever. So yeah, it's a very ambitious project, and I think that we're technically still a startup. We've been doing a token sale since last August, and right now we're speaking with investors, and we're growing the community. It's 170,000 people right now that are all waiting to play the game, and about 1% of those people have bought tokens to support the project. So really what we do is we just kind of focus on developing the game further, marketing, offering, like running competitions, such as asking the community to submit artwork, graffiti that we can put into the game, for example. And it's funny because we have in our Discord community kids that are probably not old enough to play the game, but they submit artwork to be used in the game just because they really like the look of it, And in fact, this last couple of days at this conference, most of the people that have been here are like 8, 9-year-old. They're not even old enough to play our game, but they're like, "Wow, it looks amazing." Is it like Fortnite? I really love Fortnite. So that's kind of like the gamers that we're going for. So yeah, I think that what we'll probably do is, the game that we're making right now is definitely for more of a hardcore gamer, survival gamers, people that like the kind of post-apocalyptic scenario. But we might make other games in the future that are more for a younger audience. But time will tell.
Right. Well, everything you said just blew my mind. So I got to go back on a few different things here. For myself, I work for a few different companies within the blockchain space, and community is huge. Community is like the biggest hurdle, the first hurdle you want to get over, and you've already accomplished that. So go ahead.
I think the biggest hurdle is raising money. Raising capital is definitely the hardest challenges. I think that it is true that the community is the most important thing, and investors always look at the traction that you've made with how many people are interested in your product. But sorry, what were you saying?
I was saying it's huge that you're a CEO that is responsive with the community, because there's a lot of companies out there that don't even get engaged, and I guess they just don't realize how effective a positive community is. Especially if you have people that are extremely excited about the product that you're putting out.
Yeah. It's good, and it gives me encouragement to keep on doing what we're doing. When I go to video game conferences in Europe and also in North America, It's always good to see that people recognize the franchise, and they recognize me as well from the videos that I've done, and just putting the word out there, just trying to get as much exposure for the game as much as possible. And that's really encouraging because it makes me think that what we're trying to do is very ambitious, and it's definitely a technical challenge. But it's what people want, So what we're thinking about doing is releasing smaller games that are associated to the Decimated franchise prior to the release of the full Decimated game, because obviously that's the most ambitious project. So we're speaking with other development companies who are developing games, VR games or mobile games that will be part of our ecosystem using the DO tokens. That will come out a lot sooner than Decimated. So we've got several milestones in place, and we want to partner up with other game developers as well. So it's very similar to Engine and Wax, which I'm sure you're aware of already.
Yes.
They're listed on several exchanges. They're big companies now, So we're a few years behind those companies, but essentially we'd like to have the same kind of business model where we have lots of different developers working towards the same goal of having this kind of distributed ecosystem with centralized game servers, but with a token that can be used in and out of the game world. So I think it's the future. I think that gamers want to earn something back from the time that they spend playing their video games. So instead of it being like a one-sided thing where they spend $60 for a game and then they have to pay for the downloadable content and extra features and map packs and things like that, we can still offer those things to the users, but they can still get something back out of it as well. So essentially what we'd like to do is have a token that players can earn in the game from grinding through the map, killing robots, competing with each other, doing missions, and then essentially stopping, like closing their laptop and then going out and spending their tokens in the real world, wherever they accept cryptocurrency is our goal for our tokens to be used.
I think you're definitely onto something huge here with that, for sure.
I hope so. We're working hard at it. We'll see how it goes.
So to not to compare you to anybody else, I guess, but to get a general idea of what Decimated is going to be like. So basically, it's like Fable, Call of Duty, Fortnite, and Grand Theft Auto all thrown into one.
I think those are all huge games. I like to compare Decimated to a cross between Blade Runner and Mad Max. And in terms of gameplay, it's similar to Star Citizen and DayZ. DayZ being a kind of zombie apocalypse game where you start off with nothing and then you have to survive throughout the time that you're alive and build up your fleet of vehicles, build up your weapons, and you can meet other players in the game. They might be friendly or they might be hostile. And stylistically, it's similar to Star Citizen because it's a sci-fi game. You can fly ships around, and but ours is much more dystopian. It's like a very kind of like hostile world. If you've seen the recent Blade Runner movie, where he flies from Ryan Gosling flies from the really kind of heavily urbanized area out into the desert wastelands. This is really what we are trying to create is that juxtaposition between the ultra modern and the completely destroyed kind of worlds. So it's actually meant to be a kind of vision of a potential future for Earth after climate change has destroyed the planet and industrialization has used up all the resources, and AI has taken over the role of the police force and government. So humans are almost like this subservient species that have to learn to survive in this kind of world. So as I mentioned before, the gamers can choose whether they want to play a human citizen or a cyborg cop. And obviously being a cyborg will give you more power, but you have to play by the rules if you choose to be a cyborg. So we want to kind of create a self-perpetuating ecosystem and just give players the freedom to do what they want in the game. It's definitely ambitious, but yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I love that movie. I actually got it recorded on my TiVo right now. I've watched it like 10 times.
Sometimes I watch it just for inspiration, when we're creating cinematics for the game, for marketing content, I'm often referencing sci-fi movies like RoboCop and Blade Runner, Total Recall and Terminator, because when we're thinking of shot planning for the kind of story that we want to tell, we're obviously drawing inspiration from all of our favorite movies and video games, So when I'm speaking with our storyboard artists and cinematic directors, we we often reference like movies and games that we kind of are inspired by. So yeah.
Yeah, something I want to step back to is on a personal note. You mentioned working for God of War.
Yes.
Man, that is one of my favorite all-time games, but I don't know why, but it's not available on Xbox, is it?
No, it's a PlayStation exclusive. Yeah,
Man, you got to
because
put in a good word and have them put it on Xbox as well.
they'll never do it because it's developed by Sony Santa Monica,
Right.
and Sony is obviously PlayStation, right? So it's a PlayStation exclusive. My involvement with that project was I organized storyboards for that, and I think a little bit of previs as well. But this was a few years ago. I think it was back in 2016. So we just kind of had a small involvement in that game. There's other games that we've been involved with, or that I've been involved with my colleagues in other companies, and it's like full in-engine cinematics production. Everything from doing adapting the script into storyboards, and then doing a previs, then going to the motion capture stage, the actors with the suits on, with the cameras looking at their face, and then we map all that data to the 3D models, and then we set up the cameras, the lights, and the VFX and stuff like that, and then it's final polish and engine kind of thing. So that's been my career for the last 9 years. So yeah, I mean, making a game like Decimated is definitely ambitious and it's a challenge. But with the contacts I have in the games industry, it's hopefully something we can achieve. We might not be able to develop it in 1 year, but certainly be able to have an early version of the game, early access, maybe by the end of 2020. So.
Yeah, no. If you worked on God of War, I'm absolutely excited about seeing Decimated. I can't wait.
Cool. I'll give you beta access so you can check it out.
Awesome. So something I'm really excited about within Decimated is, I think I saw somewhere where you're all going to create objects within the game that you can purchase and trade. Could you give an example of how users could do that and integrate the cryptocurrency as well?
Yeah. So as well as our development team creating content that will be tokenized and sold in the game, other 3D artists that pass our kind of quality control process will be able to submit content onto our marketplace that can be sold to the users. So essentially what we plan to do is have a process where artists can upload the content, and then the community will vote on what content they want to see in the game. Then every month we will tokenize content and then assign a certain level of digital scarcity to those items. And then we'll put them on sale. We'll have an eBay style auction where the starting bid will be maybe 0.5 Ethereum, for example, or the equivalent in DO tokens. And then we'll just let the auction run for 30 days, and whoever's the highest bidder will win the item. And if we have 10 versions of that item, then 10 people will be able to win that item. And then essentially they own that. We'll send that token to their wallet, which will either be in-game or on their smartphone wallet, which we will release. And then they can use it in the game when the full game is released, or they can sell it if they want, whatever price they want. So we want to have real-world value for these virtual items. And I think, as I mentioned before, at the moment, video game companies are creating endless supplies of virtual currency and virtual items, and they reap all the rewards. And some companies have reportedly been making about $5 million per day just in microtransactions from their games that are free to play, because they have so many people playing them. And that's all well and good if you're a big greedy capitalist. But if you want to maybe have a bit of a more kind of an ecosystem that rewards the users back, then I think that using blockchain and cryptocurrency is definitely the right way forward. It means that if players are going to spend 500 hours playing their favorite game, at least at the end they can make some money back from all that time that they put in. So
right.
I'm hoping that we can create a generation of career gamers that are not just streaming on YouTube, but also from playing the game and actually doing missions inside the game. And who knows where that's going to lead. It could actually lead into some real, beneficial uses in society where people are doing things digitally and earning money and doing what they love to do. So. Yeah.
No, right. Yep. That's huge. Man, so what would you say that you're most excited about as far as if you were, since you have the insight and we don't, as a player, what are you excited about most?
As a player, Playing Decimated.
Yes.
What am I excited about most? I would be excited about playing a game where you have the freedom to explore and play with your friends and be able to build your own base inside the game. It's like a second life. You can build your own dystopian world. You can get vehicles. You can customize them. You'll be able to invite your friends around to help defend your territory, for example. You'll be able to join gangs and then fight with other gamers, and it's gonna be epic. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most.
So I got one more question for you here, and I'll let you go. This might be an impossible question to ask, but if everything goes as planned, which it rarely ever does in businesses, but if everything goes as planned, where do you see Decimated in, let's say, 2 years from now, as far as adoption wise?
I mean, we have a target of about 500,000 users, monthly active users, by the time that we launch, which is roughly 16,000 players per day. I think that by 2 to 3 years, we expect to have about maybe 2.5 million monthly active users, because by then we'll have a publisher agreement with one of the top 20 publishers, some of whom I've spoken to several times because I'm well connected with these companies. I also think that the Decimated game is going to look super polished by then as well. Obviously, we have to develop the game in iterative stages. So we'll release an early access version the first year, and then we'll be upgrading it every few months. And I also think that we'll have other games in our ecosystem as well. So that's really the ambition, is to have like servers all around the world for different languages. South America, North America, across Europe and Asia. Like everybody competing with each other, people streaming the game, doing competitive eSports competitions, grab racing inside the Decimated ecosystem, battle royale style scenarios inside the Decimated ecosystem. That's really what my ambition is to have that, all under the Fracture Labs company name. So, yeah, we're just getting started. That's the goal.
That's awesome, man. So I know you mentioned it earlier, but when do you expect this to be available to the public?
So, we're going to be releasing the smartphone wallet first. Hopefully by Q4 2019. We'll be releasing the marketplace, hopefully around the same time. Mini games and demos that are associated with the Decimated franchise around all throughout 2020, and then the Decimated pre-alpha should be late 2019, potentially early 2020. These things often get delayed. At the moment, we're still fundraising and doing the token sale. So, but I think that we should have a pre-alpha version of the game that will be playable early 2020, and then we'll be releasing updates over the next few years. So, yeah, lots to look forward to, but still lots that will be released early as well.
And your community, for those that want to join your community, they're mostly active on Discord?
Yeah, I mean, it's spread across social media. Twitter, Facebook. We avoid Telegram as much as possible. A lot of people think that crypto games or crypto projects need to have a big Telegram community, but we like to have people in Discord, because then we can have the different languages in sub-channels and things like that. So everybody's in the same place, and we don't have to have a different Telegram group for different languages. We're trying to drive traffic towards Discord as much as possible.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you could, when you get a second, we'll talk later. But if you want to send me some links to where you can purchase the tokens and when everything's going to be available, your main website, I'll be sure to leave it in the link below this video for everybody.
Excellent, cool. Thanks very much. Decimated.net is the main website, and I look forward to seeing everyone there.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you taking the time out to come on the show, man.
You too. I appreciate you asking me. Thanks.
Yeah.